have a lookout bearing of a green 90, currently at 300 metres.
After more than a decade of conflict, Australia now has a new generation of veterans.
Safety cell, check safety, ESSN.
They're high-tech, modern warriors, but they share a legacy of mental anguish with the veterans of every war that came before them.
It got to the point where I actually ended up, for a brief moment, thinking that it wasn't worth it. So I helped myself down a hatch. I threw myself down a hatch. I didn't want to be there. This photo's
Suzanne Baker is one of the thousands of veterans of our most recent wars that have returned home to fight an even bigger personal battle with post-traumatic stress disorder.
Clear.
She served in East Timor and the Gulf directing helicopter landings, an air traffic controller who saw too much.
I'd been in aircraft control for 6 days when I had a helo crash. Luckily everyone lived on that one, but 6 weeks later another one crashed, and this time someone died, and it was affecting me. So I was getting to the point where I couldn't sleep a lot of the time and couldn't concentrate, couldn't count, which is rather critical for an OC. And by about the 4.5 month mark, I was in tears every day.
Suzanne says she fought for years to have the Department of Veterans Affairs recognise her condition. It took months to even get an appointment with a DVA doctor. Then she had to recount her experiences in intimate detail.
But you have to sit there and relive every detail. That's what you do in exposure sessions. But to actually have to sit and write it for these guys, it's sadistic. I'm really pissed off. Sorry. I'm so angry. I've been angry for years, and I just seem to be getting angrier with them. If you could make a claim, DVA is, your illness or your injury. Many would. They do your head in.
Dr Andrew Koo runs one of the few specialist PTSD clinics in Australia here at the Toowong Private Hospital in Brisbane. PTSD is a problem, he says, that's best addressed quickly, but the process of getting DVA to recognise it is a dehumanising experience for many that can potentially make things much worse.
They have to prove that those traumas have manifested as mental health disorders, and that may require numerous independent specialist reviews, all of which take time. It definitely can contribute to the mental health problems that these returning soldiers have.
Andrew Koo is just one of many experts who've given evidence to a parliamentary committee examining the care of injured ADF personnel. Some of the most powerful evidence was given by retired Major General John Cantwell, the former commander of Australian forces in Afghanistan and himself a sufferer of PTSD.
There is a large wave of sadness coming our way, and the system, DVA and Defence, need to be ready for it, and I wonder whether we are.
In the most extreme cases, we have the situations where people find themselves helpless, cornered, and unable to see their way out with their lives falling apart around them. And this, as everybody is aware, can eventuate in people having thoughts about suicide and in the tragic circumstance where people will complete suicide.
It's a dark place that this young veteran knows all too well. What have you put your wife through?
Oh mate, I've put her through hell. Absolute hell. I feel horrible for doing it. The lack of help for us rebounds on our wives. No. You indirectly, you don't ever mean to, you indirectly take it out on them, your family, your children. And you know that all they want to do is help, but it just seems like there's nothing they can do sometimes, and sometimes you think that they'd be better without.
This young man deployed to East Timor, Iraq and Afghanistan. He completed his last Afghanistan mission in 2010.
Anyone who says they weren't terrified every time they stepped out the wire is a liar. absolutely terrified every time he went out.
After 7 years in the army, he was eventually discharged with PTSD. Despite that, he's been fighting ever since to convince DVA that that is the condition he has. He doesn't want to be identified for fear he could lose what benefits and treatment he has so far managed to get. But he says his frustration is routine among his contemporaries.
The general consensus going around at the moment is that DVA is there to save money, not help us. And you know, there's probably going to be a lot of backlash for me saying that, but I don't care anymore. I can't see any more friends go through the shit that we've had to go through. And I can't see any more boys taking their own lives when they could have been helped.